Hey y'all, this is Marley K. Hope y'all are well. Got a video that I want to share with you from JWTV, and I feel like I don't know why. This is important because of the events that I anticipate will take place this year. Again, I don't have any inside information. These are just things that I feel in my spirit that have been dropped into my spirit that I've been watching. We've been telegraphed a whole lot of stuff. And one of the questions that I always had, I used to ask Watchman Nehemiah about when I first figured out what was going on about like all these different agendas. Because I anticipate our exodus is near, and I anticipate the pole shift, and there's chaos on the earth, like natural disaster chaos. Um, uh, Whatever's going to happen spiritually, things that come upon the earth, uh, all that stuff. I think those things we're really close to those things happening, either because of something that man did or because it's just something that the creator is allowing to happen because his word will not come back void. It is biblical prophecy and it has to happen. Um, I always wondered about this rapture thing. Like, how they going to explain all these people gone and all these people, some people gone and some people left behind, and the people that they think that should be gone or should be here and devoured like us are gone, and then the ones who are privileged and always thinking that they are the priority, they are the chosen people, are still here. And so because we see in the natural how all these things are shaping up, and we can also see with our spiritual eyes, I wonder about this rapture thing. I was like, where does lie come from? And so now it all makes sense. If you look at this and you think about um, all the deceptions to just hide the truth that Yah is who he is, Creator is who he is, we are who we are. And this is why we never knew who we were. This is why the world didn't know who we were. And the world all the nations are getting ready to be judged. um, they have to come up with some type of story to keep people fooled. And people are going to be fooled until the rapture is come and gone and they looking around figuring, oh, I'm still here. Because they didn't read their word and because they trusted the enemy. So this is also why it's really important for us to read our word, especially about the things that are supposed to happen during the end times, so that we will understand what's to come. So anyway, I'm gonna get into this video and then we'll talk about it afterwards. But pay attention to the rapture alien thing, because to me that just makes so much sense uh, in light of what we know now about who we are. So I'm gonna get into it and I'm gonna make this bigger.
Like your life depends on it. This is Greg, a former lieutenant who basically is going to detail so much secrets. This is Master Sergeant who wrote a book called The Alien Rapture. That's because obviously they planned that in Project Bluebeam, and you got to be very discerning. So this part is highly important up next. That goes deeper into detail than I went, because this is the part where he's talking about some documents that he basically came across during his time in the military, and it gets deeper from.
Well, I had a quick question. Going back to, you were talking about the beings at the Dulce base. You said that there were 25-foot tall aliens, and then there were the Greys. You said that you identified the 25-foot ones. You said that they were Nephilim, that they were fallen angels. What makes you say that? Why would they not necessarily just be extraterrestrials?
They told us that's what they were. They told us that they were the enemy of God, and they had they had this big pitch, Phil, which I didn't hear at all, but they pretty much convinced all the other scientists that they were going to be in this ultra-galactic war against God and that we were going to win. You know, because I always wondered how he's going to pull that off. And I don't believe in a pre-trib rapture. I believe in post-trib. Otherwise, God wouldn't wrote Revelations, for the simple reason, when they come, and the Christians disappear from extermination, all they're going to do is tell them. I seen this in a script in a paper that I looked at. I was at S4. It said that the Christians will disappear, we'll exterminate them, and we'll lie to the public and convince them that we gave them to the, they call them undesirables, and we gave them to the to space beings in exchange for information so they could do experimentation on them.
Can you describe what that is?
Well, that's another subculture term that's been attached to a series of projects that involve what the Pentagon, what they call a deceptive indication and warning, or a false INW, which is a false flag. And it's the ability to stage, through very advanced technologies, an alien attack or an alien event. And it's a whole series of them. Now, what most people don't know about, since late 50s, early 60s, like the Barney Hill case and all that, those were all human assets abducting innocent people made to look alien.
Looking at this clip, notice what you see in the sky, and then there's another one coming up. So you see a satellite thing down there. That could be somebody's house satellite, I'm not sure. But it looks like it's a person. And it looks like they're beta testing this in the clouds right now. Secondly, looking at Indonesia, when this happens and everybody completely stops and looks up at the clouds, because it looks like maybe some person is in the clouds. And they're standing there with their arms open. This is exactly what they need for the blue beam projection technology. So imagine they're already beta testing this right now as we speak.
Oh, holy fucking shit, guys.
That's why this operation, this UAP operation, is multi-generational. It's been going on since Roswell, and even before that, and it's now entering its final phase.
We're gonna move further here with the scenario at hand, with what you would see specifically in zones and regions, and what would definitely go down. And now, after all the world militaries are briefed on the situation about the whole invasion that we're supposed to be under, obviously they're going to get the chief of staff, the defense staff, and the government chief scientists involved, and then they'll push out emergency messaging via mobile phones. Isn't part of current civil emergency warning plans, but the technology there is such messaging is kept under constant review, Nick Pope adds, the former Minister of Defense for the UFO projects.
Entities that have dismounted from the object and are wandering across the landscape. These entities are regarded to be technologically advanced.
The advice would be to take cover at home if possible and await further instructions from authorities. And countries might join forces. Of course, they're going to want you to stay home and wait for the authorities. But however, whatever scenario you're in, you're going to make the best decision possible for you and your family. Next is that the UK, the US, countries all across the world will start evacuating to the countryside. Families in the cities will be sent to rural areas, it says, and told to pack up as much food as possible. They might find safety in the underground tunnels, Dover Castle. It might become overrun with refugees, and that's in other areas around the world. Rationing would be a possibility. It would be the case of looking after number one and forgetting your neighbor, Robinson adds. Religious leaders would step in, Nick Pope says. Numerous political and religious leaders would probably attempt to communicate with a view to make peace. In reality, no single individual speaks for planet Earth, but perhaps the Secretary General of the United Nations would be the best single point of contact if we had to select one person to negotiate. Yeah, that would be actually going to the head of the problem here if we did that. And we're just reading this and going into it even deeper. The next part, Air Chief Marshal Sir Stuart William Peach will advise the government on the evacuation plan and military response. There is nothing we can do, so prepare for a lot of chaos. If an invasion is imminent, the grim reality is there's not awful a lot we could do. Using biological or nuclear weapons would only make situations worse. Countries will unite in this critical moment, and that's exactly what they want for the one world government system. But what's also detailed is that troops were told to hide in this scenario to gather intel. So if when the first phase of this happening, you don't see much military response, well, you know why it's not happening, because they've been ordered to stand down and supposedly gather intel. And remember, the military will have specialized suits. This is why they'll be hiding. These specialized suits will be for them to stage this invasion, just like they show in the predictive programming on extinct. And supposed major danger zones, checkpoints will be initiated, and there will not be entry or exit through those supposed areas. So let's say the Project Blue Beam fake alien invasion landed in your area. The best thing you could do is look for the zoning maps for underground tunnels or exits in different ways out. That's the only way to get around it. We have found a playbook from the holographic technologists who say they will deploy this in the atmosphere, and this symbolizes another part of Project Blue Beam.
This is really bad, but you know the people that see orbs in the sky?
Yeah.
Go around that fly faster
UFOs?
than UFOs.
Yeah.
So what we do is we play with our own forces to make sure our trickery will work on the enemy. And those are directed energy weapons. Yeah, and we can make it look like an entire fleet is about to drop bombs on, let's say, Europe.
Who is doing this? The Navy, you said?
Somebody. Let's just say a group, you know.
And you know this for a fact?
I know for a fact.
Be seen with the naked eye, or
yes,
was this something
because
that was
only... it glows, so it would be seeable. You can see it by the naked eye, and it would leave a radar trace, so it's perfect as a deception. You can make them cigar shape, you can alter it somewhat. I'm saying they can just create, little orbs and split them up and make them do cool things, and the razzle dazzle, shocking off, act of war. But if you wanted to bring the world together, as President Reagan said in several UN speeches, you would have a common enemy like evil aliens attacking. We forget our differences and we fight against it. So that was Project Bluebeam, was to trick the human race into believing either God is coming down, everybody hears the voice of God, the microwave hearing effect, get along, get whatever the new message is, or it was going to be the evil aliens attacking. And notice how they all of a sudden, all the governments release all their information on UFOs, and there's a whole division dedicated, and that's just deception.
You think it's all deception?
I think it's all deception.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think this is all some sort of psyop? What do you think the ultimate purpose of it is?
Distraction against a lot of this human experimentation.
Step 4. Guess what else? The fourth step concerns universal supernatural manifestation. Electronic means. The NASA Blue Beam project, it contains 3 different orientations. One is to make mankind believe that an alien off-world invasion is about to occur at every major city on Earth in order to provoke each nation to use its nuclear weapons in order to strike back. This way, the United Nations Court will require that all those nations which launch nuclear weapons to disarm when the invasion is shown to have been false. And how will the United Nations know that the invasion was false? They will have staged it, of course. This is the situation that is occurring, and this is what they need for the global control mechanism. This is the third orientation. This is fourth step, is a mixture of electronic and supernatural forces. The waves used at time will allow supernatural force to travel through optic fibers, coaxial cables, electric and phone lines in order to penetrate to everyone at once. Through a major appliance, embedded chips will already be in place. The goal is to deal with the global ghosts projected all around the world in order to push all populations to the edge of hysteria and madness. And you're looking.
Obviously, if we did get invaded, these aliens would be much more technologically advanced than we are, because we didn't even know they were there. How would you go about fighting an enemy that was just so infinitely superior in technology?
Well, the first thing you'd want to try to do is preserve your forces as best you could. You would want to learn as much about the enemy as possible, and that would mean things like trying to find vulnerabilities, trying to capture technology, but survival is your first priority, because if you send all of your forces into the field and have them destroyed by that superior enemy force, then when you do find a vulnerability, you won't have any opportunity to exploit it.
What do you think would be the alien plan? What would they do first?
That really depends on why they're here in the first place. If they're here for the extraction of a specific resource, for example, they might want to just eliminate any resistance that might block them from their objective. If, on the other hand, their goal was actual occupation and conquest, then they would probably have to prioritize anything that they perceive to be a threat to their own dominance.
And I'm not begging you to watch the next video. I'm literally saying that we won't survive unless we know the information that's coming next. When you click
All right, y'all. Hopefully this thing will stop. No, you're not going to stop? Okay. Come on. Oh, yeah, it's going to stop.
Developing right now on Morning News Now, major escalation over.
Okay, so things to note that I don't know if this thing's going to start up, so I apologize in advance if it does. Okay, so one of the things to note is how if you're in a major city, they're going to try to redirect you to the countryside. That means people in the countryside to be prepared, because if you live in a rural area, folks are going to be trying to come here. And this is very interesting because it is the exact same thing that is in this book by William Fortune, 1 Second After. So if you read this book, it talks about how people leave major, metropolitan cities walking on foot or driving, those who have cars that work, and head to the countryside because they think the people in the country have resources. So people in the countryside are going to have to be willing to stand their ground and fight off, city invaders. I know you heard all the stuff about the rapture, the pre-tribulation rapture and all this stuff. And it makes so much sense, which is why people are around here talking about the rapture. So, Christians, especially our people, are really going to be caught off guard unless they Holy Spirit wake up and be like, that ain't right. I know our y'all is black and anything coming to get us look like us. We going to be in trouble. A lot of us going to be in trouble. And the churches are not teaching anything about this, nothing about end time prophecy, nothing about the strong delusions or deceptions. So it's so wild that all of this is happening. And I mean, it's not like this stuff is hidden. It's out everywhere. People know about these different programs that the alphabet agencies run, because it's been some stuff has been declassified. Some people have come out and talked about it, and unfortunately, they have lost their lives. Um, but it's some crazy stuff getting ready to go down, and I believe it's going down because they know what time it is. Like literally, it's time for us to leave. The Exodus is coming. They're trying to stir up stuff before things happen. How do they know when to do this? And I find it interesting that a lot of stuff is trying to be timed prior to April, prior to the eclipse, prior to whatever natural disasters are coming because of the pole shifts and the solar flares. So it's just a really interesting time to be alive. Please don't take any of these things for granted. Go do your own research if you don't believe in any of this stuff. The only reason I bring it to you is because I researched it. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't share it with you. And if I didn't think that it was going down this year, I definitely wouldn't be so gung-ho to bring it to you. But I mean, it just ties into all the things, the expected chaos, the illness, the wars, if you're having an intergalactic war and a war on the earth for resources and who's going to rule. It's just a lot. So anyway, I'm not going to even prolong this video. It's a lot to digest. I will put the link in the description so that you can rewatch it, take notes, do your own research. Understand there are a lot of people who have come out and disclosed things about this particular project. And those of us who are talking about it are labeled as conspiracy theorists, as usual. So, take that with a grain of salt, but you got to understand this whole rapture thing is so interesting to me because I always wonder, like, who gave it to us and why. And so now it kind of ties into the beginnings and the endings of this nation. When you think about the Albert Pike letter, and the Masons, and go back to the Tower of Babel, so much stuff makes sense. So much stuff makes sense. Anyway, do your research, y'all. We are living in some strong delusions and some strong deceptions, and a lot of people are going to be fooled. Don't be one of them. So you're going to really have to use your spiritual discernment, and you're going to have to hone those skills right now, because when the time comes, it's going to be too late if you are trusting on your own understanding and you don't really understand what's happening. All right, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload new content. Love y'all, and I'm out.